These bands were the literal kings of the charts, with anthems that an entire generation grew up on. Their faces were on every single magazine, their videos played 24/7, and they were, without a doubt, on top of the world. They had everything. So what went wrong? The 1990s music scene was an absolutely insane roller coaster. Grunge exploded and then completely burned out. Alternative rock took over the mainstream, and then pop punk started dominating everything. For some bands, this chaos shot them into the stratosphere. But for others, that same incredible success became an anchor that they could never escape. Today, we're counting down 5 bands that hit an unbelievable peak in the 90s, only to totally fade from the mainstream, never recapturing that first insane spark. We're starting with a sound that was pure, unfiltered 90s energy. Seriously, if you were alive in 1992, you could not escape the song Two Princes. The Spin Doctors, with their super chill, jam band vibe, felt completely new and fresh. Their first album, Pocket Full of Kryptonite, started slow and then became a giant, selling over 5 million copies in the US alone. That's insane. They were everywhere. Their feel-good vibe was the perfect opposite to all the serious grunge music happening. But being that famous that fast has a price. Their next album just failed to produce another giant hit. And the quirky sound that was once so fresh started to feel old as the decade went on. The band still tours today, a lot of times with other 90s bands, but they never even got close to the success of their first album. Spin Doctors are the perfect example of a band that captured a moment so perfectly they could never move past it. In the middle of the 90s, one band got so huge it's actually hard to believe. Hootie and the Blowfish, with their friendly, down-to-earth rock, became one of the biggest bands on the planet. Their 1994 album, Cracked Rear View, wasn't just an album. It was a cultural phenomenon. It gave us massive hits like Hold My Hand, Let Her Cry, and Only Wanna Be With You, and became one of the best-selling albums of all time. They were the most approachable rock stars in the world. But as the 90s kept going, music changed. Their honest, simple sound started to fall off as darker alternative rock and super-produced pop took over. Their later albums sold okay, but it was nothing compared to the monster success of their first. And get this, the singer, Darius Rucker, would later become a massive solo star in a completely different genre, country music. Even though the band reunited for a giant tour in 2024, they're now a nostalgia act instead of the chart-destroying machine they used to be. It's actually crazy how massive these bands were. If your mind is blown right now, do me a favor and smash that like button and subscribe for more insane deep dives into the music industry. Alright, now we're flying from the US all the way to Sweden, home of one of the 90s most powerful pop groups, Ace of Base. In 1993, their song All That She Wants became a global sensation. Sorry, I started to sing that one. Their album, The Sign, was unstoppable, selling over 23 million copies worldwide. 23 million! It was at the top of every chart. For a while, their ridiculously catchy sound was literally the soundtrack of pop radio. But in the super fast world of 90s pop, their fame in America disappeared almost overnight. They were still popular in Europe, but their next albums made zero impact in the US. The original band eventually split. A full reunion seems like it will never happen, leaving their peak perfectly frozen in time. Just as the first wave of grunge was dying down, a new wave of post-grunge bands appeared, and no one was more successful in America than the British band Bush. Their 1994 debut, 16 Stone, was a monster hit in the US, with rock radio hits you still hear today like Glycerine, Machine Head, and Come Down. Led by Gavin Rossdale, Bush was selling out arenas and was one of the biggest rock bands of the mid-90s. But here's the crazy part. Critics constantly claimed they were just a cheap copy of American grunge bands. By the time they released their third album in the late 90s, the music scene was changing again. Even though the band is back together and still releases music and tours, with their latest album being 2022's The Art of Survival, they have never gotten back the huge mainstream audience they had at their peak. Not even close. This final story isn't about changing tastes or selling fewer albums. This one is a tragedy about what could have been. Blind Melon blew up in 1993 with No Rain, a song that was an instant classic, mostly because of its unforgettable music video with the B-Girl. The band's psychedelic rock sound was completely unique, and the frontman, Shannon Hoon, was a captivating once-in-a-generation talent. Their first album was a huge success, and it looked like they were going to have a long, incredible career. But just 2 years later, on a tour bus in New Orleans, Shannon Hoon died of a drug overdose. He was only 28 years old. The band released one more album of leftover songs, but without their incredible frontman, they couldn't go on, and they broke up in 1999. They have since gotten back together with a new singer and even shows planned for 2025, but their story will always be the ultimate what could have been, a tragic end for one of the 90s most promising bands. From pop to grunge to alternative rock, the 90s were an absolutely insane decade of musical change. For one incredible, shining moment, these 5 bands stood on top of the entire world. They gave us songs that are burned into our memories forever, the soundtracks to our lives. But the same industry that builds you up can move on just as fast, leaving behind a legacy that's forever trapped in a specific time and place. What other 90s bands do you think had a massive peak and then completely disappeared? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear all your stories, and don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the music history.